What's up YouTube, Demi here with another build guide. This is for a Chinsoul Rain of Arrows Trapper that also works with basically any other bow skill in the game. But the main engine is Chinsoul, which is just about a 250 DPS bow that doubles damage with hits at close range, right? So the way it works with traps is when you throw a trap, it'll target something. The damage for that close range modifier is calculated based on how far it is from the trap to where it hits. And it also stacks multiplicatively with point blank, which is 50% more damage to targets at the start of their movement with projectile attack hits. So it's the exact same type of modifier, but they stack together. So instead of it being a 250 DPS bow, it becomes a 500 DPS bow, and then that becomes a 750 DPS bow. It's really stupid, right? So yeah, we also have a Tinkerskin and Eldritch Battery to give us that infinite mana. So I'm going to go ahead and run a Minotaur map real quick just so you can see it. This is with the increased AoE setup. Effectively a 5-link style of DPS, or amount of DPS basically. But yeah, you just kind of throw traps, things pop, and then everything explodes. This is of course the standard OP gear version, but I am not perfectly min-maxed by any means. You could probably achieve way higher damage than I currently have. I am not like claiming this is perfect. This is just what I threw together in about an hour today on stream, and then we did all the Guardians with it, and we did Shaper, and it was pretty easy, so I'll just go ahead and show you this. I also have a budget paste bin created, which I'll have linked in the description below this video, as well as the current characters paste bin, if you would like to obviously make it in League or in the flashback, whatever you want it to be. Make it pretty cheap. But yeah, it's pretty safe. I mean, we have the AoE blind from Saboteur, and we crit shatter everything, so I don't really need to worry about things like porcupine spikes, any of that stuff. Anything that gets too close. We also have phase acro, so we have 30% dodge, spell dodge. Combine that with our AoE blind, and then I have a Basalt Flask and Taste of Hate for the fizz mitigation. If I do get hit, I'm pretty safe. I don't have to worry about it much, and because I have that Eldritch Battery Tinkerskin interaction going, I have infinite mana. Every time I throw a trap on an enemy and it triggers, I get the mana back, or get the ES back, right? Which also allows me to reserve 100% of my mana. And since Chinsoul just doubles your bow damage, any flat LE damage you have from like Anger or Wrath or Heralds or like Jewelry, Abyss Jewels, all that stuff is double as well. It's really, really easy to scale into endgame, right? I think the budget paste bin that I made has like exactly half the damage of this. And I mean, I have way too much damage on this. I should probably refill my pots for this, if this is the boss room. Yeah, so let me go do that. Just swap in Kong Effect for bosses, or just stay on your 5-link if you don't have the 6-link yet. Whatever. So yeah, strategy for boss farming is you walk up to them, you throw down a bear trap. Actually, he always charges, so I'm gonna throw a bear trap, throw a Rain of Arrows, and then just spam. So he's super slow right now, right? And he's dead already.
That stretches the sanity.
I think Guardians have 10 million health, so yeah, I'm not really sure how fast he just died, but this is, I mean, pretty normal map, right? So let's go talk about it. Why is this OP? Because we already talked about that. Chinsoul plus point blank. It's stupid. It's just really stupid. So skill tree wise and Ascendancy wise, we are Saboteur for a couple reasons. Number one, we get this 20% regen. Basically, when we throw 20 traps, you get 20% regen. You get immunity to ignite, immunity to shock. Great. We also have Perfect Crime and Chain Reaction. So actually, I should say in order of priority, you're going to go for Perfect Crime, Normal Lab. This gives you cooldown recovery speed, damage per trap, 20% chance for traps to trigger an additional time, which is just dumb. And then you take Chain Reaction in Cruel. This gives you more trap damage, more cooldown recovery speed for your bear trap, rain of arrows, whatever. It also gives you, when your traps trigger, your nearby traps also trigger. That's really important because you throw up to 5 with a pair of Shaper Gloves, they give you an additional one, right? And that means that you can get, if any of those one traps trigger, it just, everything else goes off. So everything in the area just dies. It's disgusting. After that, you're probably going to go for Pyromaniac for that regen. And after that, you'll go for Born in the Shadows for Uber Lab, which gives you Cannot Be Blinded, reduced damage taken from blinded enemies, which is everything around you since nearby enemies are blinded. And you get damage with hits and ammos against blinded enemies. Chance to blind on hit. Great, right? So because we blind, we also go for that phase acrobatics stuff, just so we get more dodge on top of everything else. So it makes us really hard to hit, and it's a pretty good layer of defense. Since we are relatively squishy, about 5-6k life depending on your gear. You could also take Explosives Expert for that 10% pen and area damage, but I personally find that taking the defensive node is a lot stronger since we don't need damage, as you can see by that Minotaur run, right? So skill tree wise, you could level this pretty easily. You're probably going to want to level with a random trap and then scale into bows at late game. I would recommend like lightning trap, for example, would be pretty easy to level with. So you just take a bunch of like damage, trap damage. This is all generic stuff. It's just generic damage. Life nodes, more crit multi. This gives you an additional trap place at a time. This is really important. You can have up to like I think I have up to 20 traps on this right now, something like that. Attack damage is great. Some life here. Phase damage. I needed a fair amount of accuracy. You probably don't need this if you have better gear than I do, correctly rolled gear or whatever. So you can probably skip that. Just get more life, take all the trap and mine nodes here. So you get traps cannot be damaged for 5 seconds after being thrown. This is really important because otherwise enemies can literally one-shot your traps, which just sucks. You take a bunch of crit stuff here for traps and 10% pen along with some more AoE. More jewel sockets, take your acro, phase acro, more crit multi, another jewel socket, even more life nodes. And because we are using a bow, we can use weapon elemental damage nodes, right? And then this gives us 5% global pen. I am dealing fire, cold, and lightning. So this is pretty useful for me. You can take the bow crit nodes. Lethality is really good. And then you take point blank, obviously, for that 50% more life nodes. If you need more crit, you can stretch up into King of the Hill for that 100% crit with bows and some fizz damage. It's kind of stupid. Head up here, grab some more trap stuff. Trap throwing speed is actually really good. As you can tell, I throw traps really fast. It's kind of dumb. More life nodes, more crit multi. This is our power charge generation. This is really important. Every time, or you have a 50% chance to gain a power charge when your trap is triggered by an enemy. Really useful. We have frenzy charge generation from Tinkerskin, so we have all our charges covered basically. And then Eldritch Battery gives us, it's not a very commonly used keystone, but it allows you to spend ES before mana for skill cost, energy shield before mana, right? And it protects mana instead of life. So instead of it being over here, it's over here, and it costs me 35 mana to throw a trap. But if I trigger them targeting anything, I recover up to, what is that, 250 ES since I throw 5. If you throw 4, it's 200 ES. You have infinite mana when you're targeting something. It's great. And then, of course, you take your AoE nodes. You can use any AoE skill. And some more ES stuff, jewel socket, and, no, sorry, not ES stuff, life stuff, and life nodes. So, jewels. Remember, Chin Soul stacks really well with flat added damage because it gives you that more bow damage. So my jewels look like this. This is just damage, multi. This is a base crit hatred here, which allows me to not have to worry about using increased crits in my main setup. I think it would actually be better for me to be using anger with a crit multi with anger one, and then something to do with wrath, maybe crit strike chance or fizz added as X with wrath. But this is what I had on hand. It works pretty well. It helps me get my crit up there. I think I'm at I'm at 47% crit without power charges. I think I go up to like 60, and then I have a diamond flask on top of that, so it's like 80 something percent crit, pretty solid. Other jewels, this one is just a bunch of flat damage and accuracy. This is more flat damage, multi plus accuracy I haven't killed recently. Because you are a trapper, you never get any kills unless you your glove enchant kills something, or you run into somebody with, I don't know, I guess just your glove enchant basically. So you never get the kills, so it's fine. You could also use pen if you haven't killed recently. Yeah, they got a lot of stuff here. Lots more flat damage and crit multi. Yeah. So gear wise, we've talked about Chinsel. Chinsel's really good, really cheap generally. Right now it might be a little bit more expensive because of the Ellie hit meta, but you should be able to get one for I don't know, 10, 20C, maybe 30C in the first day of a league. After that it should go down pretty fast, unless of course it's perfectly rolled or something like that. Most important corruption, if you can get a good corruption, would be critical strike chance or flat added damage. I think crit is the best overall since Chinsel doesn't have that good of a base crit. But yeah, you can do that. And then the other recommended unique would be Tinkerskin. This allows you to have that infinite mana, and the life on trigger is really nice as well. You also get some frenzy charge generation, which is really important as well. And phasing, I guess that's always nice. Everything else is just rares after that, right? So helmet, I just went for life resist. Enchant on helmet, you can get a rain of arrows as a 15% chance to fire an additional sequence of arrows. So that combined with our additional trap trigger off of perfect crime, you get a 35% chance to get 2 rain of arrows per trap, which is just double the hit damage. It's kind of stupid. Amulet, you can get a shaped amulet with fizz added as X is great. Ellie pen is great. Crit multi, you're basically going to go for life, crit multi, accuracy, and then whatever else you can get on top of that. Extra added damage is great. Fizz's extra is great. Extra pen is great. Weapon elemental damage is great. Anything along those lines. If you need stats resist, grab them here. Rings, same thing. You're going to go for probably opal rings, I would think, better than steels, or diamonds if you're struggling with crit. You can go for shaped ones, or elder ones would be fine, honestly. You just want a bunch of flat damage, life resist. Wed is great as well. Accuracy if you need it. strength stats if you need it as well. Same thing over here, just a bunch of damage, life resist, strength. Quiver. You get a lot of options for the quiver. You could use a single signal fire, which gives you fizz damage converted to fire and the fizz's extra fire mods. You could use a shape quiver with fizz's extra damage with some flat damage, weapon elemental damage, life, crit multi, whatever. You could actually craft trap throwing speed on these from Torah, the bowmaker's tools, which is really, really nice, which is why my traps throw so fast. You can get up to 12%, right? This is actually only 6%, so I could double that there. So that's kind of dumb. It's really, 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 really good. Boots, life resist, movement speed, same as always. If you have an enchantment here, go for the pen if you haven't killed recently enchant, because again, traps never count you as the killer, so you get that 10% pen all the time. Flat lightning damage, flat cold damage would be good as well. I think that's the only things here. Yeah, just life resist, movement speed basically. Belts, you're going to go for that life weapon elemental damage if possible. Go for Stygians just so you can have the extra abyssal socket, and again, you can craft trap throwing speed on belts, same thing as the quiver right here. It's really, really good. You can get 24% trap throwing speed on your quiver and your belt. It's kind of dumb. Just go life resist, weapon elemental damage, movement speed, strength if you need it, trap throwing speed, craft if possible. It is a suffix craft, so you can put it on anything with an open suffix. Gloves, if you can get them, go for a shaper additional trap gloves. You only need to make sure it says skills which throw traps have an additional trap. After that, you just want life resist, extra damage. These gloves we made in about 5x a couple days ago. That'll be in the highlights compilation, or was in the last highlights compilation. I'm not sure when this video will be posted, but I basically use an essence and I hit triple suffixes or double T1 resist and some garbage suffix. So I annulled the suffix, got rid of that, just had these two, got rid of the prefixes, slammed a suffix, hit perfect, and then slammed two prefixes, hit perfect, perfect. This is T1 fizz, T1 life, T1 trap, T1 res, and crafted evasion. 69% evasion, obviously, because that's the best number. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Other gear, yeah, so enchant on gloves, you're going to want a defensive enchant, so Commandment of Spite is good. It will like do a nova of cold projectiles around you that freezes enemies and leaves chilled ground, right? Pretty good. I used Commandment of Winter on this because I was on this. This was my lightning trap character before. This was a projectile spell. It's crit cold, freezes everything so they don't hit you anymore. You can go for the Commandment of Reflection, which is like a decoy of you that'll run around and take damage for you, right? But basically any defensive enchant is good since you won't be doing any attacking yourself. Okay, so now we go into the skill links. As you can see, I have empty sockets and I have a portal gem, a bunch of random shit, right? So the main 6 link will be Rain of Arrows, Cluster Traps, Trap. That is required. After that, you just go for damage. So I have Trap and Mine damage, Elemental damage with attacks, and then Conk Effect, which I swap AoE for occasionally, you know? If you're struggling with crit, you can just use increased crits in that slot. If you have a 5 link, it just looks like that. Pretty easy colors to get, no crazy off colors, nothing insane, right? Castle damage taken setup. I have Castle damage taken Immortal Call setup. This gives you a buff that gives you immunity to fizz damage for a little bit. The level doesn't matter since we don't have any endurance charge generation. The base duration doesn't go up, only the buff duration per endurance charge. So if you don't have any strength, don't worry about leveling it. I have an Ice Golem for the accuracy and the crit. I'm really struggling with accuracy on this. I only have 88%. So if you have better gear, I mean, you could probably not have that and just use like a Flame Golem would probably be better for the percent damage. After that, I have a projectile weakness. This gives enemies take 54% increased damage from projectiles. Rain of Arrows is considered a projectile even though it doesn't have the projectile tag. It scales on projectile damage and it gets bow tags. It's just weird how it works, but you do get projectile damage scaling for this. Everything with bow tag gets that. It's just kind of, I don't know why they do that. They kind of lump it into one thing. You can also use elemental elemental weakness if you don't think this works or you don't like the knockback, whatever. And then other setups, I have a blink arrow faster attacks right here, just so I can get up and down ledges and whatnot. It's not super fast. If you want it to be faster, you could also link it to faster projectiles would increase the travel speed, so you can do that too. Or quality culling strike for even more attack and cast speed, whatever. My auras, I'm using Wrath and Hatred. Wrath gives you that bunch of flat lightning. Anger also gives flat fire damage, which I don't have, but it works too. And I'm using Hatred because I have a lot of his damage, so it works. And then I have a Bear Trap set up in my chest. You basically just need Bear Trap increased duration somewhere. Bear Trap was buffed to give enemies take 15% increased damage from trap or mine hits while they're like locked down. So with this plus increased duration, it lasts about 5.25 seconds or so. So you just throw that at an enemy, and then they take that trap. They run really, really slow, So then your Vol Rain of Arrows on top of that, it maims enemies and has 150% increased effective maim. Maim is a 30% slow. So that becomes an 80% slow or something like that, combined with the Bear Trap slow. They just don't move, more or less, which is really, really helpful for bossing, so you can just vomit traps on them until they're dead, like I did with Minotaur, right? After that, you can just do whatever the hell you want with it. I have it linked with cluster traps, Fizz Lightning, increased crits. You don't need this. I just wanted to see if I could get the Bear Trap to do a relevant amount of damage, which I can. It does a decent amount of damage. One trap would do 43k damage or so. Then I have a random portal gem. If you wanted to use more stuff, you could have like a power charge on crit Orb of Storms setup, or a curse on hit Orb of Storms in here with like frost. I don't know, you could put frost bomb in here to give negative cold res. So you got a lot of options, right? You have a lot of free links to mess with. Flasks, I'm using a bleed recovery rate eternalized flask, eternal life flask, whatever. Basalt flask with curse immunity, diamond flask with freeze immunity. You can swap freeze and curse between these two pretty easily. I'm using Quicksilver for movement speed and a Taste of Hate for that extra mitigation, plus the Fizz is extra cold. If you don't like Taste of Hate, you can use Nedziri's Promise. It's a lot cheaper. You could use a Wise Oak if you had perfect Wise Oak resist. If you balance all of your Wise Oak numbers, you could gain that all pen and the reduced damage taken of each element, which is really, 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 really good. So if you had all of these numbers to be 100, 100, 100, you would gain 10% reduced damage taken for Fire, Cold, and Lightning, and 10% pen for Fire, Cold, and Lightning, or whatever the pen number would be, 15 to 20, whatever it might be. It's really good. Pantheons, stun immunity if you've been stunned in the last 2 seconds. Helpful. Make sure you actually do these powers. I haven't done them yet. And then after that, I have this one for like lab running. I think I was running this, but you could also just take any of these. It doesn't really matter too much. I like this one for the passive life flask regeneration. If I'm running lab, I can just like sit in a trap room and wait for the chargers to come back, which is kind of useful. I think I have to wait for the recently to wear out. There it goes. Ticks a little bit. It takes a while, but I mean, it allows you to AFK if you have nothing to hit, right? Is there anything else I need to talk about? I don't think so. If I missed anything, let me know. I will not be writing a forum guide for this, so the paste bins for this character and the budget version are in the description of this video. Let me actually show you the budget version. So here's my current version. I have 145-ish average damage times 5, right? I think I threw 5, yeah. So that's like, what, 750k per throw-ish? Pretty solid. And you throw really, really fast, right? So there's all my gear. This will be in the description. And then the budget version, which is wearing a mid-roll Chinsel, a mid-roll, like everything's mid-roll. This is just life resist accuracy, Tinkerskin, Prim Sorrow, life, movement speed, strength, resist, you know. What is this? Flat damage, quicker multi-life, flat damage, life resist. You get the point, right? It's all the same stuff we just talked about. But it has about 66k average damage times 4, so it's like 300 and something k damage per throw, and you throw really, really fast still. So you could get half my damage, which means you would kill Minotaur in 3 seconds instead of 1.5 seconds. Damn it. It's so fucking, it's just too good, right? I don't know. It's just a good build. If you want to use Blast Rain, it actually has better single target, but the AoE clear is a lot worse. You could also use Shrapnel Shot. You could use, I tried Lightning Arrow with GMP works. Tornado Shot with GMP works. We actually used all the bow skills today, including stupid shit like Explosive Arrow, which actually was killing enemies with the initial hit, not the explosion. What else do we use? Caustic Arrow, completely useless clouds of lag, but I was still killing things. I was just doing a Phoenix map with each skill, right? My favorites were Rain of Arrows, Blast Rain. So do with that information what you wish. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below this video. If you watched all the way to the end, let's see, what should you comment? Comment your favorite brand of pop or soda or Coke, whatever you want to call it, whatever your region you're from. Comment that. Thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy the video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you want to check out my Twitch stream, follow me there. It's linked in the description. Follow me on Twitter. Join our Discord server if you want help with PoE, whatever it might be. If you want to help me support, or if you want to support me in what I do, my Patreon and my merch store are linked in the description below this video. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video. That'll be Demi out.